I've seen a lot of my girlfriends get into pretend relationships. How do you know if you're in a fake relationship? And more importantly, how do you get out of it? That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of Wonderful Life. Hi, I'm Mary Dittman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of College on Fleek and One-Derful Life. Wonderful Life is my way of describing how it feels when you're at peace with your life. Maybe you're not happy because you're single, but you can be happy while you're single. In my case, I've always wanted to be married and have a family, and that's always been my definition of a complete life, being a wife and a mother, but that hasn't happened for me. And I realized I had to make peace with being single because the singleness didn't seem to be changing. And that doesn't mean that I'm happy about being single or I'd prefer to be single, but it means that I've learned how to be happy while I'm single and I can enjoy my life. And that's what Wonderful Life is all about. I've seen a bunch of my girlfriends get into fake relationships or pretend relationships or fantasy relationships. And this is where there's a guy like maybe at the gym or at work or at school, and he's nice to you. He seems like he's interested. He always makes an excuse to talk to you. Maybe he always gets on the treadmill right next to you, even though there are plenty of other treadmills that are available. Or he seems like he's making up an excuse to talk to you, and he seems flirty and he seems interested, and maybe he likes all of your posts on social media or he private messages you, but he never actually asks you on a date. Or maybe it's somebody that you have been friends with and, things kind of happened and you think you're more than friends, but you're not really sure. And you think maybe he hasn't addressed it because he's afraid of ruining your friendship. By the way, I wrote a blog on this, so if you're interested in seeing more definitions of what would be a pretend or a fantasy relationship, you can go to one-derfullife.com and check out the blog. And before we go any further, the reason why you should even care about this is because a pretend or a fake relationship is really bad because you are emotionally and mentally engaged in it, even though you think you're not, and you'll say, oh, sure, I'm available to date other people, but you really won't be. One of my girlfriends was involved in a pretend relationship for several years, and she really thought that this guy had an interest in her, but that he just kind of didn't want to wreck their friendship. And when he finally told her, well, I'm actually interested in somebody else, she said to me, well, now I can go on dates with other people and I won't feel guilty. So for all of these years, she had really been unavailable to other men because her fear was that, well, if I go on a date with someone, this other guy is going to get jealous or he'll be upset. But the truth is that he wouldn't have cared. And nobody asked her on a date because she was giving off this vibe of being unavailable. And it doesn't matter what you're saying, people pick up on your energy. They pick up on your vibe. So it's like you can say, I'm having a great day, but you can pick up when someone's having a bad day or they're angry or they're depressed or they're upset about something. And in that same way, men can pick up on when you're not available. And so for years, she was pretty much keeping love at bay, thinking that things would progress with this guy, and he really had no interest in her. And that's the danger of a pretend relationship. You can get yourself so caught up in something that isn't real. And a lot of times we look at stories of women who were catfished, like if they're doing online dating or somebody meets them on social media and they get all involved in a relationship with someone that they've never even met. And we think, gosh, that's really dumb. But a lot of times we've done that with someone that we are in touch with in real life, and we are taking interactions to mean something that they're not. And a lot of times it's just men being nice or being cordial or just thinking that we're just friends and we're taking it to mean something else. Sometimes it can be a man who's just kind of stringing you along because he doesn't really have anything better to do, or he thinks you're nice, but you're not really the one. And we have deeper feelings, and so we think it's more than it is. No matter how you play it, fantasy relationships are really damaging to you. So how do you know if you're in a fake relationship? Okay, well, it's pretty easy. If a man is interested in you as more than a friend, he's going to let you know that. And he'll say things like, "You're my girlfriend," or "Are you my girlfriend?" or "Am I your boyfriend?" or "Hey, we're only seeing each other, right?" Like, he'll make it clear, we're dating, we're exclusive. If a man is not asking you on dates and taking you out and talking about your relationship and trying to put a label on it, then he is either not interested or he is stringing you along. This idea that men are afraid of messing up the relationship or they're afraid of messing up a friendship is ridiculous. Men are not afraid of that. They're either interested or they're not. And men are pretty clear on what they want. If they're interested in you, they will move the ball forward. If they're not, they'll just kind of hang around. And this can be really tricky because whether or not the guy is actually giving you mixed signals, and some guys do that, they're hot and cold. And by the way, if you're dealing with someone who's hot and cold, the only thing you need to pay attention to is cold. Because a man who's really interested in you won't be hot and cold. He'll be consistent. If a man is truly on the fence about whether or not he's interested in you, the only possibility for you to spark his interest is you need to be less available. The truth is we all want what we can't have. So you're going to need to put some distance. If he's unsure and he's not really sold on whether or not he's into you, then back away, give the man some space. But more importantly, you need to free yourself up so that you can be available to meet someone who is sure that he wants to date you. This can be tricky because if it's someone that you see at the gym, or maybe it's a colleague at work, or a neighbor, or somebody that you see at school, and he's used to you being available to chat and say hi and kind of small talk, but maybe you've been taking that to mean something more than it really is, and you need to stop doing that so you can kind of like get your head clear. If you stop all of a sudden, then it can just look like you're kind of crazy. Like 1 minute you're nice and the next minute you're not. And if you've ever dealt with someone like that, it's really pretty psycho. And let me just cut you off at the pass right now. Because women sometimes, we think that, well, we need to clear the air and be honest. Don't ever look at a guy and say, I just need some space and I just, feel like I don't really know where things are going. Because if it really is a fantasy relationship and you've made all of this up in your head, you're really going to look like a nut job when you look at him and say that you need space and you're not really sure where things are going. Because he could be married, he could have a girlfriend, he could be gay, he could just think that he's being nice and you're small talking, and you're going to come off as like completely ridiculous. So don't have a conversation about it. But the first thing you need to do is stop interacting with him. Okay, now, if it's somebody that you work with, or that you're in school with, or that is a neighbor, that doesn't mean you don't speak to him. You can always be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And you're on your phone. "Hey, how are you? Sorry." And you just need to stop interacting. That might mean get on a different treadmill, go to a different yoga class, go somewhere else for lunch, sit in a different seat in the meeting or the class. You've got to switch it up and stop the interacting, stop the back and forth on social media, stop the texting. And if he asks you, hey, what's up? I haven't heard from you. Just tell him you've been busy. You've been working, or you're on a deadline or something like that. Don't make it weird. He doesn't need to know that you are trying to get over this fantasy relationship that you have created in your own mind. Number 2, unfollow him on social media. It does not help you when his posts are coming up on your feed. It just won't help you at all. So unfollow him. If you need to, block him on social media. Now, the cool thing about when you block someone else is, like, so if I block you on my Facebook, then when I go to search and try to stalk you on your Facebook page, your page won't pull up for me. I can't see your profile if I've blocked you. And that can actually be really great. This is like going on a detox, okay? So you're just trying to create some space here. Block his email, block his phone number. Now, if it's a work colleague, or maybe if you're in college and you guys are in a group together, a group project, you can't do that. You need to be available. Only respond to emails that are related to the work that you're doing. And by the way, if it's a coworker, you probably shouldn't be texting anyway, because if he is married or has a girlfriend, why is he texting you? You should really only be communicating with him for work-related matters, and keep it to work. If you're emailing or texting about something about work and then he comes up with, well, hey, how are you doing? We haven't really talked in a while. You can just say, doing great, been super busy, see you tomorrow. Just keep it cool, be professional. Number 3, you really have to just wrap your brain around the fact that he is not into you. And you might say, well, then why is he being so nice? Or why does he always ask me how I'm doing? Well, you know what? Some guys are just nice, and they just really are friendly and kind. I've known guys at the gym, for example, who are married, and when I see them in a yoga class, they always speak. They always say, like, hi, Mary, how you doing? Did you have a good week? And they're not trying to start anything up. They're just being kind and friendly. And the reason I know that they're not trying to start anything is that they've never asked for my phone number. They've never reached out to me on social media. They've never said or done anything inappropriate. Now, I don't know these guys. I mean, maybe it's possible that if I was, chasing after them, I don't know what they would do. But all I'm saying is that sometimes men are just nice because they're being nice. Sometimes men will be nice and kind of flirty because it's fun. And who doesn't like to just kind of flirt harmlessly a little bit? And to him, it might truly be harmless flirting, and he doesn't really mean anything by it, and it's just a little bit fun. Like, if you kind of respond a little bit, it makes him feel good. Just like as a woman, if we say something a little bit flirty to a man and he kind of flirts back a little bit, it doesn't mean that we're trying to pick him up. It just kind of makes you feel good if somebody flirts back with you. It could be something that innocent. Sometimes men are kind and kind of flirty at work, one, because it can help them professionally, but also just because it's a nice distraction. I mean, if all day long they're dealing with other men or they're dealing with upset customers, and then they can just be nice to you and you're nice to them, it's just a pleasant diversion from the day. And sometimes as women, we want there to be something more there, and there just isn't. And the truth is that if a man wants there to be something more, he will move the ball forward. And if he's not moving the ball forward, you don't need to help him. He's just not that interested. I was in this situation one time, kind of reversed. I was friends with a guy, and to me, we were just friends. I had no interest in him. He hadn't said anything to make me think he was interested in me. And we had been out one night with a group, and I was talking about a guy I had a crush on. And the next day, when I saw this friend, he was saying like, well, I'm just going to focus on my work and I'm just going to get involved with this and that project that I'm involved in. And that's all I'm going to care about right now. And I said, yeah, okay, sounds great. Good deal. Get some work done. I really didn't get it until later when I thought about it, and I thought, wait a minute. He used to tell me when there would be a woman that he was interested in, if he got rejected, he would say to me, well, I'm just going to focus on work and I'm not going to think about her at all. And I kind of started to put together, uh-oh, he thinks that like there's something going on with us. And then I basically last night in front of our friends was talking about this guy I like, and it hurt his feelings. And now he's coming to me and saying, well, I'm just not going to be available for you. I'm going to be working and I'm going to be busy. And I was like, okay. I didn't get it. It didn't faze me. And when I realized, wow, he has created in his mind that we have something going on, and it really made me feel uncomfortable. It did not make me look at him and go, oh my gosh, I have feelings for you. And this is why I don't believe in saying something to the guy, because you're just going to creep him out. It's going to seem awkward and you really can't recover from it. And him getting creeped out is kind of the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is he goes and he tells other people, oh my God, you wouldn't believe what a psycho she is. She thought I was her boyfriend. Or he mentions it to the girl that he's dating and then she comes after you. Like, you just don't want all this kind of silly drama. It's very easy to know if you're in a real relationship with a man because he's going to let you know. He's going to claim you. If a man really is interested in you, he will claim you. He will lock you down. And if he's not locking you down, he's either stringing you along or he's really just being nice and you are spinning that into something that it is not. And again, the problem is with a fantasy relationship or a pretend relationship, it feels real. And so when you start to realize it's over, the rejection feels real. Now, he actually rejected you from the beginning, but you didn't realize that. So for weeks or months or years, you thought there was something here, and the minute you realize there isn't, you feel rejected. He has no clue what's going on here because he actually has been rejecting you every day that he has known you, but he's just being nice to you. And you now have to deal with what feels like a breakup, and it's really painful. So I guess what I'm really trying to do is get you to save yourself from that heartache of a fake relationship. And I've seen this with many of my girlfriends, with my students, and it's really sad. I've been in this situation before myself, and it's kind of embarrassing when you realize that you've just sort of made this whole thing up in your head. But I want to know from you, have you ever been in a pretend relationship? And what did you do about it? So post in the comments and let us know how you handled it. And of course, you can always connect with us at One-DerfulLife.com. And join us next week when we're going to talk about what to do if you've been dumped. That's next week on One-Derful Life.